Hey guys, it's Mr. Ferguson here to help you with a little bit of grammar practice. Now this video is going to be on compound sentences. Okay, compound sentences are sentences that have a fanboy with two independent clauses on both sides of that fanboy. If you are looking at a sentence and you're trying to figure out if you need a comma before the fanboy, what you should do is circle the fanboy, look on both sides of the sentence, and then determine if you have independent clauses on both sides. If you do, then you need a comma. If there's a dependent clause on either side of the fanboy, then you don't need a comma. Alright, let's get started. So, first sentence. She did not cheat on the test, for it was not the right thing to do. Alright, go ahead and pause the video for a second and think yourself about where you would put the comma in this sentence, or if it needs one at all. So go ahead and pause. Okay. Now, let's break this down together. You should have paused and thought about it by now. Let's break it down together. So, this is our fanboy, 4. Okay, and we need to remember the fanboys that are not just ands and buts. Okay, it's easy to notice ands and it's easy to notice buts. Okay, but we can't neglect the other ones that we don't see as much, like for and so. Okay, so in this sentence, for is our fanboy. Now that we've identified our fanboy and circled it, which is what you should do when you're doing this yourself, we need to look on both sides and check for independent clauses. So let's look at the beginning first. She did not cheat on the test. Could that stand on its own as a sentence? Yes, it could. She did not cheat on the test. So that's an independent clause. It was not the right thing to do. Well, that could also stand on its own as a sentence. It was not the right thing to do. So that's also an independent clause. So we have two independent clauses on both sides. That means that we do in fact need a comma before the fanboy. She did not cheat on the test, comma, for it was not the right thing to do. Hopefully you got that one right. If not, we got more. Okay, so moving on to the second one. He didn't want to go to the dentist, yet he went anyway. Go ahead and pause the video. Think about if this sentence needs a comma. Okay? Figure it out? Let's take a look. Yet is the fanboy. Again, it's another one we don't see as much. Yet. Alright, looking before the fanboy, he didn't want to go to the dentist. Well, that could be a sentence on its own. He didn't want to go to the dentist, so that's an independent clause. Second part, he went anyway. I mean, it's short, but that could be a sentence. He went anyway. So that's also an independent clause. That means that once again, we do need a comma before the fanboy. He didn't want to go to the dentist, comma, yet he went anyway. Excuse me. Alright, moving on. I ate way too much food, but still want dessert. Alright, go ahead and pause. Figure out if you are going to put a comma in this sentence, and where. Okay, let's look at it together. So, where's our fanboy? There it is, but. It's an easy one. Now, let's look at the first part. I ate way too much food. Yeah, that's a sentence, so that's an independent clause. I ate way too much food. Still want dessert? Now, if we were asking a question, that might work, but it's not a question. Still want dessert. That's not a sentence, unless you're a caveman. So it's missing a subject. Still want dessert. So that's not an independent clause. So we do not need a comma before the fanboy. I ate way too much food, but still want dessert. No comma is necessary here because we've got an independent clause on one side but a dependent clause on the other side. So no comma. All right, next sentence. Everyone was busy, so I went to the movie alone. Okay, go ahead and pause. Think about this sentence. Ask yourself if it needs a comma and where. All right, so the fanboy here is so. Everyone was busy, so I went to the movie alone. Everyone was busy. Yeah, that's a sentence. That could be a sentence. Everyone was busy. It's an independent clause. I went to the movie alone. That is also an independent clause. Could stand on its own. Therefore, you need a comma. Everyone was busy, comma, so I went to the movie alone. All right. I'm sick of taking grammar tests and am going to ace this next one. Sick of taking grammar tests and I'm going to ace this next one. Go ahead and pause. Ask yourself, does this need a comma? If so, where? All right. Now, the fanboy here, very easy, and. It's probably the most common fanboy you're going to find, and. Now, look at the first part. I'm sick of taking grammar tests. That is an independent clause. I'm sick of taking grammar tests. Am going to ace this next one? No, that's not quite right. It's not full. Am going to ace this next one? You're missing a subject there. That's not an independent clause. So, again, no comma is necessary if you've got an independent clause, a fanboy, and then a dependent clause. So, again, guys, with these compound sentences, the key is identifying the fanboy and then looking on both sides to check for independent clauses, meaning a clause that could stand on its own as its own sentence. This one only has one independent clause, so it doesn't need a comma. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video. I hope that this can help you figure out how to punctuate compound sentences and hopefully do better on your next grammar quiz. All right, see you later.